The India-Pakistan conflict, rooted in the 1947 partition and centered on the disputed Kashmir region, has long been a flashpoint for global concern due to both nations' nuclear capabilities. Since 1949, Kashmir remained divided. India controls Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, Pakistan administers Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, while China holds Aksai Chin. The territorial dispute has led to multiple conflicts, with each country claiming parts of the region, making it a long-standing geopolitical issue. In 2025, a terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Indian-administered Kashmir, killed 26 tourists, triggering a sharp escalation that brought the nuclear-armed neighbors to the brink of war. India's retaliatory airstrikes on alleged terrorist sites in Pakistan, followed by Pakistan's counterstrikes, marked the most intense fighting since 1971. Amid this crisis, the United States of America emerged as a pivotal mediator, brokering a fragile ceasefire on May 10, 2025. Since the partition of British India, the U.S. has played a complex role in South Asian conflicts. During the Cold War, the U.S. pursued strategic alliances to counter Soviet influence, aligning closely with Pakistan through pacts like CETO and CENTO in the 1950s. This alignment, however, strained relations with India, which leaned toward non-alignment and later the Soviet Union after the 1962 Sino-Indian War. The 1965 India-Pakistan War over Kashmir saw the US and Soviet Union jointly push for a ceasefire, halting arms supplies to both nations and supporting UN Resolution 211, leading to the Tashkent Agreement, a peace accord signed between India and Pakistan on January 10, 1966, in the city of Tashkent, then in the Soviet Union, now Uzbekistan. It was then mediated by Soviet Premier Alexei Kosygin and signed by Lal Bahadur Shastri, Prime Minister of India, and Ayub Khan, President of Pakistan. In 1971, another war broke out between these two South Asian neighbors. War ended with the partition of Pakistan and creation of Bangladesh. The U.S. tilt toward Pakistan during this war, including deploying the 7th Fleet to the Bay of Bengal, underscored its strategic prioritization of Pakistan as a counterweight to India's growing Soviet ties. Pertinently, post-Cold War, the U.S. role shifted toward crisis management, particularly after India and Pakistan's 1998 nuclear tests heightened global fears of a nuclear flashpoint. The 1999 Kargil War and the 2001 to 2002 standoff saw active U.S. diplomacy to prevent escalation. The 2019 Pulwama-Balakot crisis further highlighted U.S. mediation, with then Secretary of State Mike Pompeo claiming a role in averting nuclear war, though some Indian diplomats argued this was exaggerated. Historically, the U.S. has acted as a crisis manager, leveraging its diplomatic clout to de-escalate tensions, driven by a mix of regional stability concerns and broader geopolitical objectives. In April-May 2025, a new escalation erupts. On April 22, 2025, terrorists attacked Pahalgam, a tourist place killed 26 tourists, mostly Indian, sparking outrage in India. Indian media and political leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, quickly blamed Pakistan, though no concrete evidence of involvement was provided, Pakistan claimed. Prime Minister Modi granted the Indian military complete operational freedom, leading to airstrikes on May 6th, targeting 9 alleged terrorist sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Pakistan denied involvement, condemned the strikes as an act of war, and retaliated with drone and missile attacks, resulting in over 60 civilian deaths across both sides. Both nations suspended bilateral agreements, including the Indus Waters Treaty, Shimla Agreement, and issued civil defense warnings, raising fears of a nuclear confrontation. Pakistan's National Command Authority meeting signaled its nuclear readiness, amplifying global alarm. This round of conflict has been driven largely by air engagements, with limited ground movement and artillery and kamikaze drone strikes, Israeli Harops on the Indian side, Turkish Bayraktars for Pakistan. Let's dive little deep. On May 8th and 9th, reports emerged that Pakistan had shot down 5 Indian fighter jets, including 3 Rafales. Later, they said the number was actually 6, making it the biggest air battle since World War II. What stood out was the widespread use of beyond visual range missiles, despite both countries having fairly matched air forces. According to the New York Times, at least 2 Indian jets were confirmed downed. Debris found on Indian soil points to the loss of 4 aircraft, 3 Rafales, 1 MiG-29, and 1 Su-30. Parts of Chinese-made PL-15 missiles were recovered, suggesting they were likely fired by Pakistani JF-17s or J-10Cs. A senior French intelligence official, speaking to CNN, confirmed that at least 1 Rafale was lost, marking the first time this advanced fighter has ever been lost in combat. India had initially used French-made Scalp/Storm Shadow cruise missiles, launched from Rafales, to strike targets near Pakistani territory. For those strikes to happen, the jets had to get close to the border. The absence of confirmed Pakistani aircraft losses suggests their planes stayed safely inside Pakistani airspace, possibly flying without radar or using mountainous terrain to stay hidden. It's also believed that Pakistani AWACS aircraft provided radar data, allowing their fighters to launch missiles without switching on their own radars. In the final phase of flight, the PL-15 missile's own radar would guide it to the target. Unlike past clashes, Pakistan seems to have gained the upper hand this time against India's more conventionally powerful air force, exposing some weaknesses in India's aerial capabilities. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar praised the Air Force in Parliament, saying the much-hyped Rafales failed miserably and accused Indian pilots of incompetence. India responded with strikes on Pakistani military air bases. Satellite images showed damage to radar stations, runways, control centers, and aircraft shelters. Though there's no proof of Pakistani jets being destroyed, Pakistan retaliated with strikes on Indian bases and weapon storage sites. There are unverified claims that Pakistan also destroyed Indian S-400 systems. India has used Israeli Harop drones and BrahMos cruise missiles, high-speed, precise weapons based on Russian tech. Pakistan has fired short-range ballistic missiles like the Fatah with a 150-kilometer range and Hataf, 70 kilometers, along with Turkish-made Bayraktar drones. India's military strategy still follows the cold start doctrine, a plan for fast, limited attacks inside Pakistan without crossing nuclear red lines. It involves rapid, integrated strikes within 48 to 72 hours, targeting military, not civilian, infrastructure. In response, Pakistan has deployed tactical nuclear weapons, like the Nasr missile, to deter such moves. Pertinently, at home, both governments are under pressure. In India, Prime Minister Modi's leadership is driven by hardline Hindu nationalism, which makes backing down politically difficult. In Pakistan, the military wields major political influence and may see conflict as a way to consolidate power, especially with the country facing economic challenges and political instability after Imran Khan's 2022 removal. Things dramatically shifted on May 10th, Saturday evening, when U.S. President Donald Trump announced that India and Pakistan had agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire following what he called a long night of talks mediated by the U.S. Shortly after, both India's and Pakistan's foreign ministries confirmed the ceasefire. Posting on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence." He followed up with another message, saying he'd work with both sides to try and resolve the Kashmir conflict, which has lasted for over 1,000 years. So, Trump's remarks touched a nerve in India's diplomatic circles, where third-party involvement in Kashmir has long been off-limits. On the other hand, Pakistan welcomed his offer. Their foreign ministry released a statement appreciating Trump's willingness to help resolve Kashmir, calling it a serious threat to regional and global peace. Since India revoked Kashmir's special status in 2019, its stance has only hardened. Many Indians were upset by Trump's remarks, seeing them as an attempt to internationalize the Kashmir issue. India's opposition Congress Party demanded answers from the government and called for a meeting on why the ceasefire was first announced in Washington. Congress Party spokesman Jairam Ramesh asked if the government had opened the door to third-party mediation and whether diplomatic channels with Pakistan were being restarted. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that as part of the ceasefire deal, India and Pakistan had agreed to begin broader discussions at a neutral venue. This surprised many in India, as the government has long refused talks with Pakistan, citing its alleged support for cross-border terrorism. India also points to the 1972 Simla Agreement, where both countries agreed to resolve issues bilaterally. Indian officials say even when they make progress with the civilian Pakistani government, the military there often undermines it, like in 1999, when the Kargil conflict broke out months after both countries pledged to settle disputes peacefully. Prime Minister Modi's government hasn't formally responded to Trump's mediation offer, but Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar made it clear that India will stick to its zero-tolerance stance on terrorism, widely seen as a signal that direct talks with Pakistan aren't on the horizon. Islamabad-based security analyst Imtiaz Gul says Pakistan has always backed third-party mediation because of the deep mistrust between the two nations. With the U.S. now getting involved, Pakistan likely sees this as a diplomatic win. Pakistani experts like Syed Muhammad Ali argue that the Kashmir conflict is a pressing global issue. They say the recent military flare-up shows how easily things could spiral out of control if the world doesn't step in. India, under Modi, has taken a more assertive diplomatic approach, reflecting its growing global confidence. But navigating this situation will be tricky. India wants to maintain a strong trade relationship with the U.S. Their bilateral trade hit $130 billion in 2024 and is currently negotiating a trade deal to avoid tariffs. India also plays a key role in the Quad, a strategic group with the US, Australia, and Japan to counter China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. Traditionally, the US has respected India's position on Kashmir and stayed out of it, but Trump's unpredictable style now raises questions about whether that's still the case. India will need to strike a delicate balance. It won't want to encourage third-party involvement or let the US-led ceasefire evolve into broader political talks, but it also wants to maintain good relations with Washington. Any move to expand the agenda to sensitive issues like water sharing or Kashmir's status could trigger domestic backlash, something Modi's government is keenly aware of. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel, Typographic Man. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.